Hi, Eric.
Morning, Paul.
How are you doing today?
Great.
Can you tell us about your role over at JWT?
Yeah, so I'm an executive creative director of a group at the New York office. It's about a 50-person team that I oversee that works across all channels. So it's a fully integrated team. We do, traditional, digital, right down to CRM, all as one big happy family.
Now, I'm very honored to be speaking with you today because in April 2013, you were selected as the 4th most creative in mobile advertising, and you received the first ever Cannes Golden Lion in the mobile category. So how did that ranking change your life?
Well, I think in many ways it's a life-changing experience, and I think we learn every day. And so one of the things I did was I asked the first 3 people, as I was number 4, to go on camping, and there was a bizarre wood chipping and very sad wood chipping experience. So I don't know what will happen next year in the rankings, but
you should be number 1, I think. No, but in all seriousness, you're really a pioneer in developing this integrated group with traditional, digital, and CRM all kind of rolled up together. What is the role of branded video in that integrated offering?
I think the one thing that I sort of say to my team and clients all the time is, if I think about one thing that sort of drives us, you look at the media landscape, the core has got to be, we have to be doing new things in new places. Okay. There are too many brands out there doing old things in new places. And at the core of that in video is, hey, it would be a great idea if we ran a longer commercial in the digital space. So I think with great power comes great responsibility. And so with all of this power of all of these new channels comes this responsibility of how do we create content that people want to spend time with. Nobody gets up in the morning and says, hey, you know what, I'd like to go on YouTube and watch a 2-minute ad. So I think that gives us, that's both a challenge and a responsibility to really create things for brands that people really want to spend time with and engage with.
How do you mentor a brand to understand that with that power that they have, they need to be responsible with it?
Yeah. I think you look at the landscape of, and storytelling was sort of something that everybody talks about in this space a lot. I'm most driven by the sort of the 2 new thoughts of things, which is story doing and story building. And at the core of that is you think about what we have done for the last 100 years is storytelling, which is pushing people out. But now, how do you create things? You look at the things that we're most interested in the branded content space, and those are often stories that brands have started that they want consumers to participate in. So they had a goal, but they shared control of that. That to me is
shared control with the
shared control with the consumers.
Okay.
Or and shared control in some cases with other content creators. They started the story, but they didn't finish it. And that often makes great, things out there. You look at where everybody's talking right now about the Like a Girl stuff, which I think is really well done. That's the start of a story.
What makes it so well done?
Well, I think it touches on a human truth, and it starts a conversation. It's not just about creating some piece of shareable content. It's about creating a conversation and that has a natural tension to sort of a human inspiration.
But now, how does a brand get that story out there when people aren't turning to the brands, consumers aren't looking to the brands for that content? So how does then a brand make sure that content is respected in a way that people will actually pay attention to it and consider it when sharing?
Well, look, brands have to figure out what's their story that's authentic. How do they create content that that taps into a sort of human truth? You talk about the other end, as I said, story doing as an example of another way. We just did this program. We launched this a couple of weeks ago for J&J called Once Upon a Care, and it was all built on this insight that we all, as human beings, we believe the world's become a less caring place. And as parents, we think about what does that mean to our children? What sort of values are we passing, down to them? And so we went to the school with this core thought of, could 7-year-olds inspire us to care more? And we interviewed these kids and asked us to tell us about, a moment that you cared. And then we turned those stories into, those children's stories we turned into 5 children's books. And we came back and we had those kids read their books to their parents. And then we put that story out there for people to play with, and we made those 5 books available as a downloadable ebook. And for every ebook that people downloaded, we're going to donate a book to a school library. And it becomes this, that to me is the power of story doing, which is it's a brand action, which is it's making those books is a much more powerful statement than just doing a piece of storytelling about how the world has become less caring and how we want you to play a part as a parent in that.
Now, you've brought up books, you've brought up obviously video in that example. How do you decide where the brand starts from a platform perspective?
Yeah, you know, I think the truth is every brand has a different story to tell, and I think there are different places to tell that. I think the other thing is there is an expectation to what you said about what will I want from that brand. And so I don't think people get up in the morning and think, hey, I'm going to go to YouTube and watch a commercial. So people watch what interests them. And different brands, there are different things that will interest you. And so sometimes you create that story, like this Once Upon a Care, where you then create the drivers that drive people to that. And then sometimes you do it with partnerships, which is what audience is out there, where are people already going, and how does your brand become a part of that? You know, an example of that would be we did this program for Listerine called Will It Kill It, and we did it with College Humor and Jimmy Kimmel. The audience for Listerine pocket pack strips, these sort of portable breath strips, was there, and this whole Will It Kill It thing was about a demo. We were going to put Listerine up against the sort of stinkiest, most disgusting foods known to man. And why not tap into the audience and talent at College Humor and Jimmy Kimmel for that, as opposed to starting something completely from scratch?
Okay. How do you go about doing that in a way that doesn't? All right, let me take a step back on that question. In almost every vertical category of brand, every brand is doing some kind of branded video at some point, and they're doing campaigns like the ones you're talking about. Okay, I will throw it out there that in most cases, all of them are doing something very similar, in a lot of cases. How do you prevent that? How do you ensure, and why is it that so many brands go out there with these similar kind of programs? You swap in another brand for that, Listerine, and it could be easily another brand's program. Why is this happening? Why do we see these kind of generic, I'm not saying the Listerine one is generic, but in a lot of cases there are these generic programs that feel like cookie cutter content programs and activation programs. Why can't we be more original?
Well, you know, I think it's a loaded question, isn't it, Paul? I think at the core of it is there are a lot of forces at play. Everybody is trying to get brands excited about content. I think, you know, selfishly, I believe as the creative and sort of content agencies, we understand sort of in different ways what a brand can do that differentiates itself, because at the core, that's what we do as a creative, you know, a content agency. When things are driven by sort of media buys and media efficiency, that's where you get a lot of this cookie cutter stuff. It works from an ROI perspective on a PowerPoint presentation, but when you look at it, it's kind of sad and disappointing often.
Yeah, my saying is if they're still using PowerPoint and not Keynote, it's going to be trouble.
Yes.
So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for this.
Sure.